Okay, so we've made it through most of the year. It's the very beginning of December. So I'm going to do a year review and tell you where we're at in the market and maybe do some predictions. Make it short. Just kidding. None of my videos are short, but I'll front load the beginning of this with some really specific information just so you can get a summary. All right, so let's go. Let's see here. This is last year and this year. 22 and 23 look very different. So if you can see, our interest rates were at 3% in the beginning of 2022. Those changed to 4.25 or so right around March or April. And that's when buyers said, never mind, this isn't cool. Our payment just went up like crazy, and we can't afford the houses at the prices that they are. And they also didn't like downgrading to a lower level of product. So that started this snowball of all of these contracts pulling out. Also, we had a bunch of people rushing to list their house before the prices fell, right? Most of them were a little bit too late. So that fell all the way down to kind of a warm market. We almost got into a buyer's market. Actually, technically, we got into a buyer's market just for a minute. So right at the end of that, our rates in December started to rear back a little bit, got it back into the sixes. And then that took off in January and gave us a pretty healthy year, to be honest with you. So 2023, that's what it should look like. This is a contract ratio. This is the difference between supply and demand. This kind of just shows you the heat of the market. Spring starts, buying happens. Once we hit summer, back into fall, it slows down. Then we chill out for the holidays, and then we pick it back up. So 2023 looks normal. 2022 does not. This is why. This is well, this is not why. This is the result. So after all of this stuff going on, this is the contracts that are being put under or this is the homes that are being put under contract versus the homes that are listed. This is our price. All right, so you can see that we peaked in about May or June. There's several different metrics will tell different stories, but this is the median price. It went up all the way to 480. It dropped way down in December of last year. And then we saw it pick up as things got heated up. So now we're right around, let's say 440 or so. It says 415, but it's lying. That's a bad metric because that's only taking like a couple days out of this month. So anyway, here's those two lines together. You can see how they sort of coincide. When the market's hotter and we're up in hot market frenzy, insanity, those prices rise rapidly, go back the other way, and they fall rapidly. And if they stay sort of like, you know, moderated, then it follows that same line. The mortgage interest rates matter. This is the biggest thing that shifted our market from crazy, ravenous COVID times when we had 3% loans going out to what we see now, which is sort of a steady between, I don't know, we're probably in the middle sevens right now. This is what changed the landscape of borrowing. You picked up a house with a $2,000 payment in January of 2022. Well, that same house cost you 32 or 33, 3,400 bucks at 7%. It doesn't feel the same, right? You can't really, you don't want to buy that product. That monthly changes. So that's the summary of what happened in the past couple years. So if that's as far as you want to go, see you next time. For the rest of us that want to see what's behind all of this, you can stay tuned. So active listings, that's our supply. Think of it as the toilet paper on the shelf. That's inventory that you can go buy right now, put in your cart, right? That's a house that you could walk in, you say, I like this one, I'm going to put it under contract. No one has claimed it yet. Pink line is this most recent year, 2023. The red line is 2022. So as you can see, people were starting to buy a lot of the houses, and then all of a sudden when those interest rates went up, we started to stack inventory, right? So they're putting products on the shelf, but nobody was buying them. So they just stacked and stacked and stacked and got all the way to 20,000 by the end of the year. This year, we weren't sure what would happen. We were at about 15,000 at the end of the year. So or at the end of 2022. So once we started into the spring buying season this year, and we got some price and some rate improvement, we saw demand come up. We saw houses going for sale, right? So we saw that inventory start to get eaten up, and we made it all the way down to, I don't know, right around 10,000 this summer. We saw continued rate increases, and then that really cooled things off. You can see how it sort of spiked. We've got a little bit of plateauing. I'm gonna assume that this is the tail end of the season, and we're gonna go into the holidays, into Christmas holiday, on a downward slope of fewer homes, fewer active homes. So let's look at under contract. So this is all the people that put some toilet paper in their cart, but they haven't walked out of the store yet. All they've done is made it to where you can't have it if you wanted it unless you go fight them for it, and that's pretty unlikely. It'd be pretty weird and mean, just leave people alone. So here we got under contract. This is your buyer demand. You can see that it spiked up once we were going into the spring. Once we hit, I don't know, probably May, we started to trail down. And ever since then, it's trailed down and followed a pretty similar path to 2022, which is the purple line. So that brown line has been going down, kind of following some seasonality. And I think that we're finally going to get maybe a last surge this next week, but then we're going to dip down and kind of close out probably in the 4,000s. You can see that the last year we closed out right at 5,090. I bet we go below that. Let's take a look at the contract ratio. This is a relationship between supply and demand. This is the first slides I was showing you to show you the relationship. So roller coaster, beginning of 2022. Whoa, we're buying a bunch of houses. Everybody puts on the brakes. All the buyers put on the brakes. Sellers hit the gas. Those two don't mix, and we dropped all the way down into the 40s to I think our lowest point looks like 31.9, maybe a little bit lower than that. And then we improved, right? So that contract ratio goes up. It goes into a hot market, honestly, this summer, and then it's gone back into really a warm, slightly warm seller's market, ending us up at 39.8 at the moment. I'm sorry, 37.3 at the moment. I assume it might get down to 35 before the year end, and then it's going to pick right back up. So those last 4 weeks have been fairly stable. I mean, that's kind of what you want to see. When you see all those numbers changing rapidly, then that means you have an unpredictable market. So let's take a look at closed sales. This means they swiped their card, they walked out of the store. So there's no likelihood of that product going back into the store and going back on the shelf, right? That's been purchased and it's gone. It's out of here. This is closed volume, 2022 and 2023. You can see that we had almost 10,000 in March of 2022, and that's when we had just a super heavy appetite for buyers, and then that sloped down all through that year. This year, same pattern, right? Same seasonality. However, we just had probably 75% of what you would normally see in volume. So your lenders, home inspectors, escrow, and even realtors, all of these people are operating on fewer pieces of business per year than they normally have. What we're predicting will happen is that agents that do it kind of on the side, or that they don't have systems in place to generate leads, or if they don't have a strong business or strong marketing, they might start to struggle, and we might see some memberships and licenses lapse and see a reduction in the number of agents and ancillary businesses within the region. So where are we headed? I really only use one metric just to kind of forecast what we're looking at, and that's the Cromford Market Index. It takes a bunch of different data points, slaps them all together to give you a general idea of where the market's at. So starts in January of 2023. You can see that it's following the same path that I keep on showing you. Started off, we weren't sure. Goes up and it's nice and strong at 165, close to 165 for the peak in June and July. And then it turned around. So a lot of that is due to rates going up. So fewer buyers coming to the table. That leads to the contract ratio getting a little bit more out of whack. And then that starts to point it down. It decelerated quickly. So we turned down and rode another roller coaster. But check this out right here at the tail end. This is when the last few weeks. If 5 or 6 weeks ago we stayed on the same path, we would be probably in the 90s by the end of the year. Or actually, at this time, we'd be sitting at 96, 95. But we have broken away and we're starting to recover. We're only at 105.2. I'd be really surprised to see that go below 100 this year. So watch my next video in January and you can call me out, see if I got it right. This is just a way to take a look at some normal years. Yeah, right. 2018, it's in red. 2019 is in green. You can see that 2019 was already preparing to be super crazy. 2020 was going to be crazy too. We're up above 200 for that Cromford Market Index. That means it's a super hot market. We hit the pandemic. They lowered the Fed rate. money got cheaper, and it just exacerbated it and got us to where we are. So, um, curious to see if we'll see a little bit more stable Cromford Market Index next year. Here's something to consider when you have a weakening market, right? So we're in a little bit cooler. Like I said, it's a slightly warm seller's market. Look at the cities that are at the top, right? These are the ones that are in the highest demand, essentially, right? You got Chandler, Fountain Hills, Gilbert, Glendale, Phoenix, Scottsdale, Avondale, Tempe, Mesa, Paradise Valley, and then we'll stop at Peoria. Peoria is just under 100. So Paradise Valley and up for those first 10, they stayed pretty strong. They were sort of like um, holding the bag for the rest of the metro. Then you had these outliers, your drive till you qualify, or your sleepier towns. So like Cave Creek, it's a sleepier town. Surprise is sleepier. Queen Creek, far out. Maricopa, far out. Buckeye, far out. These are your outskirts, and they tend to have higher highs and lower lows if the market's doing, significant change. So something to consider. Goodyear, the little town that could, looks like it's actually improved by 11%. It's a pretty small data set out in Goodyear. It's just a smaller number of homes out there. So the fluctuations that just end up being more extreme. So what is going to happen this coming year? Good question. I think it's going to look a lot like this year, right? I think we're going to have some demand spike up. It really depends on the rates. If we hit the summertime and then rates go up again, we're going to have that same path. If they don't, if interest rates continue to decline, maybe we have a rise into a super hot market again. I think that would be the biggest determiner. We still have tons of stuff coming out here up in the Northwest Valley. This one specifically is just talking about all of the companies that exist out here in the tech sector and what's going to be coming in the next 5-10 years. So we have all this. We have reasons for people to be out here. We have reasons to keep building. So as long as we're tracking with that population growth, um, we're going to see some stabilization of information, of data, I think, or of patterns, right? Buying patterns. But we'll see how it goes. So treat people right. We're all going through something. Be nice. Tip your wait staff. All real estate is local. So everything that I just showed you, it might not be that way in your town, in your neighborhood. Give me a buzz. I'll run an analysis for you and see if we can make sense of what's going on around you. Till next year.